Yeah, it's cooling down, but maybe you don't want to stop traveling and camping. We ourselves live in an area that doesn't see extreme cold, so it's completely doable. Let's talk tips and tricks for continuing the journey in the cooler, dare I say, colder months. If you haven't heard it yet, this show's episode is brought to you by Go Power Solar. Their website is gpelectric.com, and they have every single thing you could possibly need under the sun for solar, lithium, and inverters. That's right, I said it. If you need parts or whole systems, Go Power Electric can help you out to know the exact components, the exact package you need that is pretty much plug and play. If you need to run small electronics, charge your phone or other devices, or if you need the bigger things powered, maybe even your air conditioner or your refrigerator or a microwave, gpelectric.com for Go Power Solar. They can help you find out what you need. They have the stuff. Check it out. gpelectric.com.
Welcome to RV Small Talk, where we talk about truck campers, lightweight trailers, and the people, places, and adventures that go along with them. We're your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I'm PJ.
I'm Clint.
And I'm Lindsay. And thank you guys for listening today. Now, don't forget to subscribe and share the RV Small Talk podcast with all your friends, your camping groups on Facebook. You can rate and review us on any podcast platform that you're listening on, and we'd really appreciate it.
Don't forget to check out the show notes for this and any other episode we've ever recorded and posted at rvsmalltalk.com. Okay, well, is there anything that we should hit on before we start talking about cold weather camping, or as we do in Texas, slightly overcast and dreary camping, but not really all that cold?
It's kind of weird to talk about this because right now it's the middle of November and it's like 80 degrees outside.
Right. I know.
So, I mean, first of all, I don't know a lot about any of this stuff because I've never needed to, but I don't know. It just feels very weird to me to be like talking about how to camp in the snow and things like that when it's so hot outside.
Yeah. And let me just throw out there, we are not going to be able to speak to things like snow tires and chains. We don't,
because we don't know. You're going to have to go find another podcast.
That's not
for
our
that.
expertise. That's not our neck of the woods.
So this is the Texas cold version.
Yeah, I think a lot of this can apply, in most regions where it gets cold, but those are specific things that came to mind that I don't really have experience with.
Well, in all fairness, it was 46 when I got up this morning.
Yeah, and like 87 now.
It's not 87, but probably is 77. So
I'm going to look up the temperature. Y'all keep talking.
Anyway, it's been, partly cloudy skies and just, picture perfect out there this week.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We have been so blessed with beautiful weather the past week, and I think it's supposed to continue a little while longer.
Right. It is 81.
81?
Yeah.
It is 81 degrees outside right now.
That is so
just
crazy.
To clear that up. All right.
So we have almost a 40-degree spread.
Yeah, which is pretty typical
You
for
would
us.
think we're in the desert.
It's that time of year when I leave all of my jackets at work. Because you wear a jacket to work every morning, and then when you leave, it's really hot. So you leave it on the back of your chair, and then it just grows and grows and grows. And then I can't find any more jackets at my house because they're all at work.
You know what else? What other time of year it is? This is the time of year when Kevin in service wear shorts to work every single day.
Yeah, but he still does that when it's 30 degrees.
That's every day of the year, no matter what.
I have never...
He wears pants to the Christmas party every year.
That is weird. It's like the one day.
We take a lot of pictures. Anyway.
Most of our listeners don't know Kevin, but Kevin works in our service department, and he may stand a full 5'2", but he is probably just as tall on his side from muscle. He is a bodybuilder. And so I don't know if that raises your body temperature or something like that and then keeps you warm. Is that what happens?
Well, maybe it's just hard to find pants that fit you really well.
It might be that. Maybe his
calves are too big for pants. This is getting weird, y'all. Can we go back to cold weather camping?
Let's go back to cold weather.
Back it up.
Welcome to Princess Craft, y'all.
Out here on the range, you got to let the calves run.
Yes. Next time you have to call up for service. Just ask to talk to Kevin's calves. He'll really appreciate it.
So, as we recover, what do we need to talk about in regards to cold weather camping with our trailers and RVs?
Well, I don't know. Let's just start with the first thing that everybody worries about, right?
Okay.
What's that?
Well, everybody's like, what if it gets bad roads or it gets bad weather, and are my tires in good shape? And I mean, that's what people worry about is tires.
Okay, so where the rubber meets the road, that's where you start.
Oh.
Yeah? Okay. So there you go. You're going to be traveling in a lot of changing conditions. And what we know about tires is that they lose pressure whenever it gets colder. And if you have swings like we've been having, 40-degree swings, in the morning, your sensors are probably going off in your car if you have them that says low tire pressure. And in the afternoon, it may be normal. Well, stay on top of that. Check your tires, check their health, their tread, but also go ahead and air them up to whatever their rating is. Right?
Right.
Well, we're just giving Clint blank stares.
Maybe.
I'm sitting here thinking, we always tell people be sure to check them when they're cold and not after you've been driving 100 miles. But in really cold weather, could you hurt your tires if you aired them up when it's like 30 degrees outside and then you drive into the heat and it heats up to, let's say, 81?
Yeah.
Would that hurt your tires?
I think that would start bordering on the overinflated side of things.
So then you stop and let air out of your tires?
I think I would keep it on. Now, I will say this.
This sounds exhausting. Just saying.
Tire manufacturers do kind of factor in temperature changes like that. So there is a little bit of grace, if you will. They have a recommended tire pressure. Don't go over that. And that should account for most changes up in temperature.
So it's not going to change enough to hurt your tires.
But when you're talking a 40-degree spread, if you air up in the 30s or freezing weather and it comes all the way up to 70 or something, I might consider it, or just consider how far I'm traveling. That'll make a difference because actually driving might heat them up as well.
Yeah, well, I guess just be aware of it. Double check it if there's a big change.
Yeah. Now this is one of those areas that nitrogen-filled tires might be a consideration. Now, I typically, most of the time, don't like nitrogen-filled tires, not because they're bad, but because it's, for the most part, not that big a deal. The value there for the amount of money that you pay.
Well, I bet some people would beg to differ, but...
Well, that's why they sell it that way. People who make money beg to differ.
Okay, well, we now have Clint's opinion.
However,
I don't know enough to know if it's that different.
This one might make a difference. And the reason that one of the big things about it is nitrogen is technically, from what I understand, a larger atom. And so it doesn't leak out as much, and it also doesn't expand and contract as much.
So your tires won't change as much if you have nitrogen-filled tires.
Right. However...
But finding nitrogen to refill them with is difficult.
This is like Clint and I, the science guy.
So it's difficult, it's more expensive, and if you don't have like a high percentage of nitrogen in there, if you have like 10% regular air, then you've pretty much decimated any value of having nitrogen-filled tires. So it's pretty much all nitrogen or nothing.
So nitrogen really is nice to have, but if you can just put air in them when you need it. But if you do that, then you need to count on them just being air-filled tires.
Right.
From there on out.
And then you take them to a service center that does nitrogen, and they put in a vacuum chamber, I guess, and you can refill them.
I don't know if that's true. Okay, well, something we need to talk about someday is nitrogen-filled tires.
So I would recommend go ahead and have a 12-volt pump with you.
Well, do you carry one when you travel?
Yeah, I do have one in each vehicle.
What?
What?
I do.
What?
And sometimes I even take my bike pump.
What?
I wouldn't be able to use a bike pump.
No? Oh, it's true. Most people do rely on some body weight to push it down, and you have none of that.
No, I got body weight. It's just I'm not strong enough.
I use body weight.
I'm not strong enough.
You just stand on it.
Yeah, just stand on it. Just jump on the trampoline. So I would have
Okay,
a pump
well,
with me.
I would like for you, will you do me a favor and will you find one of the, like a little 12-volt powered air pump that you would recommend and list it in the show notes?
Sure.
Because I would like to know.
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, because that's something that I don't carry.
Okay, sure.
Is it like bigger than a shoebox?
No.
Is it
No, it's about that size.
Bigger
maybe
than a
less.
bread box?
Same as a shoebox, right?
Nuh-uh, bread box is a little bit bigger than a shoebox.
I
What kind
have,
of bread you eating?
I don't know.
I have one that's about the size of a cigar box.
Y'all remember what those are?
Yeah.
Cigar boxes.
That's
Yeah.
where all the
That's cool.
seashells.
Yeah, that's where we keep seashells
Yeah.
at my house.
So
Cigar boxes.
So check on those tires. Make sure that you're on top of it. It's a good time of year to have to know where your bearings are. When's the last time you had them packed?
Yeah.
Have them checked out and packed. You can't check them out without packing them, though.
Right.
You really need to
Right.
just, if you're going to have them looked at, that means you're having them repacked.
And they'll take a look at your brakes too and make sure everything's working. So if you're a winter camper,
Mm-hmm.
good thing to do at the beginning of winter and at the beginning of summer.
Yeah, and my last thing on the kind of rubber meets the road portion of this is really I like the idea of a TPMS system. That's a tire pressure management system, and it's a little doohickey that goes on the valve stem of your tires, and it connects to a device in your vehicle or your smartphone, depending on what you
Yeah,
get.
sometimes they have an app.
And it'll tell you where your tire is at from a pressure standpoint. My father-in-law loves his because he is that guy. He likes to sit in the sun and watch one side of his vehicle's tires get more pressure than the other, just because he's interested in those sort of
So
things.
he's geekier than you are?
Oh, he's
Oh
the
my gosh.
dean of the statistics department.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
I don't even think we could carry on a logical conversation. I just don't
Oh, it's
understand
all
that.
We should
logical
have
with
him
him.
in.
He's
We should have him on the
Definitely have him
podcast.
on the podcast.
so anyway.
Statistical
Right.
probability of tire pressure
Yeah.
change.
So we got your tires taken care of. Now, how does the cold or maybe jumping temperatures affect your hitch and coupler maintenance?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you need to inspect it, make sure everything looks good before you hit the road on the
Yeah.
cold weather. But what else could happen potentially?
Yeah. So generally not much, but I like to use the kind of change of seasons to just inspect things anyways, because stuff does wear. Metal does change in size a little bit.
That was my question. Does it?
It does, but not a huge amount. What it can do is it can be more or less flexible as well, which could cause, it might be the season that you develop a crack in maybe an A-frame or in a coupler. So it's just, with a change in season, that's when I just like to visually
Just
inspect
look at
that. And for
everything.
the most part, I have never found anything, but it's a good time to check.
Yeah.
So that'd be your toe ball, check it for wear and all that. Toe balls can wear out to where they are more likely to pop off, or the coupler is more likely to pop off, but that is also quite rare.
And terrifying.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen some toe balls that people have on their truck that they have handed down for like 4 generations.
I mean, it's a
and
family
they
heirloom.
look terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not kidding. It's like they
Your
are
toe
way
ball looks terrible.
Spit shine.
well, they are way past the worn point or the
Right.
rusty point or rubbed or
Right.
scraped. And so, at that point, if you've got something that's wearing really badly, just replace it.
Make it easier on yourself.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people use a toe ball lube or something like that. And that makes them a little bit quieter, and it can protect it for a few more years.
That's right. And the couplers can get a little worn on the inside. Again, generally not a problem, but good time to just pay attention, maybe give it a little silicone spray,
Right.
make sure it opens and closes easily. And the breakaway cable is the one that most of us don't check very often.
Right.
So that little cable it gets a little wear on it, or it got drug, or it got kinked.
Right.
So yeah, they're cheap to replace. No tools needed.
Yeah.
Super easy. Just pulls out of the little box and then snap the new one back in. And be sure not to hook it onto the hooks of your chain.
Right.
Hook it onto the vehicle.
Yeah, it needs its own pathway to connect to the vehicle by itself, uniquely,
Yeah.
natively.
You know what? We talk about this all the time. We'll always put stuff in our show notes, but let's put that little.
Yeah, the zip breakaway cable.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that what they call it? The zip?
Yeah, it's a little springy thing, and I like it because it can't drag. It just simply cannot drag.
Instead of your breakaway being just a wire, it's a coil, like an old phone cord.
Yep.
So it can't drag. It's always nice. It will live a lot longer that way. I don't know how many we replace every week here. So,
All right. So the cold weather isn't going to do much for your tow ball and your coupler, but I know that it does do something to your battery. Cold weather is, I mean, it's tough on batteries. It drains them. It makes them, I don't know, what do you call it? Old?
Dead.
Dead. Not alive.
They don't charge well, and
There you go.
and they discharge differently. And if you haven't experienced changing out your actual car battery through the years, most of those events seem to happen around cold weather.
first thing in the morning after a cold night, and all of a sudden, your car doesn't
won't
start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it may be a different kind of battery on your RV from your tow vehicle, but the cold weather is going to be hard on them regardless of what type it is. So this is a good time to have it checked out. And you can go to any auto parts store or any RV location and have it checked out just for, cranking value or what have you.
Sure.
The ability, its capacity, is it holding what it should?
Yeah, and be sure that they check it under a load, because that means that they are actually trying to run something with it or simulate running something. Because if you have a standard wet cell battery, it's going to look fully charged if all you do is look and say, how much charge does it have?
Right.
But you have to run it under a load. And, the auto parts store and Walmart, they all have ways to do that so that they can see if it holds a charge, because it'll look great. The minute you turn something on, it drops to the bottom.
And that's just
So
like me.
That's what. Yeah.
If you
Is that
see
just like you, Clint?
Just like me. If you see me on a normal situation, just walking around and standing without a load, I look fairly healthy. However, if you put something heavy on me, I collapse pretty easily.
It's like a folding stick.
You don't know how unhealthy I am until I have to carry 2 kids on my arm.
So unhealthy. All right. Lithium ion. I know that there is some type of rule that lithium ion can't camp in certain degrees, or you
Yeah.
Nope. You can camp. You just can't
But I know
recharge
what you're referring
it.
to.
can't use your battery.
You just can't recharge it.
Okay.
But this is changing. So let's talk about where we are today and what we project on the future. Where we are today is lithium ion right around that freezing point does not accept a charge. It's not able to be charged. Not completely, maybe even not good from a battery health standpoint, but there are new technologies that all these manufacturers are building in.
You just like put a blanket around it?
A lot of people are doing it. So they will install them.
Just carry
inside.
a big electric blanket.
So a lot of people install their lithium ion inside their trailer where it can receive some heat from the heating system.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
and
Then you're
because they're
fine.
more expensive. It's harder to steal if it's inside your trailer.
Well, and then there's
That's really true.
But there are actually little heating pads, 12-volt heating pads, and management systems that actually pay attention to the temperature and turn on that heating pad just to make sure that your battery can handle camping situations.
So there is always a DIY workaround,
Yes.
but the reality is they are trying to fix this, and hopefully in the next few years they will. But something to be aware of if your trailer has lithium ion batteries, that the cold weather will affect it. Be sure you have an idea for a workaround.
Consult your owner's manual. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. The owner's
Didn't we do
manuals
an
are
entire
so bad.
podcast on lithium batteries?
Yeah, but why
Yeah,
not
but
do another and
my
another
goodness.
and another?
No, I'm just letting people who are listening know that if you want.
If you want to learn about lithium ion,
Yeah,
And we talked
Yeah.
about camping with them in the cold.
sure, cool. While you're checking electrical stuff, check those lights because you're going to find that it gets dark earlier, longer, better, stronger, faster.
Turn the lights on and off really fast.
Yes.
Pretend like you're in a club.
No,
but are the lights really affected by cold weather? You're just saying be sure you have lights.
it's a good time, just like your towing, your connection setup. It's a good time to check them. It's kind of like a reminder whenever you change the seasons, whenever you do the daylight savings time. I shudder to think about. It's a good time to check all your 9-volt batteries and your smoke alarms. This is a good time to check your lights.
I should do that.
Yeah, do it next year.
Well, Lindsay's the one that that camps without a toothbrush. She doesn't even pack, and you're the one that makes a list.
Yeah.
So
I do.
we are like,
So if I ever need batteries, I'm going to Clint's trailer because I didn't bring any.
I don't know. That was not on the list.
All right. You have here, everything feels different in the cold.
I do.
I'm just going to touch my trailer.
Yes. So
Put hands on your trailer.
Like ghost,
lay
like
hands.
a pottery wheel.
yeah, it's like Ghost. Absolutely. So yeah, this is just a little back of my thoughts reminder to myself. In any situation when I'm outside and it's cold, I'm not used to being in the cold. And since everything does feel different tactily, the way things feel under my grip, I have to remind myself to check things, mechanical connections over twice, because what feels like it has firmly latched may not actually have, or may not have turned fully. Friction.
That's a good point.
Friction points feel different when it's cold.
Yeah, my hands are the first thing to go numb. So then I'm just like.
So if it locks, if it latches, or if it clamps, double check in the cold months
that it actually did
the
latch,
thing.
Yeah.
or lock or clamp.
Yeah. So
Bop it.
Do we want to move past the in travel scenario? Okay, now that we've traveled and we've taken care of some of the safety travel standpoints.
Yeah, the boring safety stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually at the campsite and it's cold. And I'm worried that I am not going to have heat, or I'm not going to stay warm enough.
Or you're going to have a fountain of frozen water flowing at you.
Yes, I'm not going to be able to flush the toilet, or I'm not going to be able to dump the tanks. People have so many worries.
Yeah. Well, let's start bare bones basic. People have been camping for ages in tents with exactly what you just described. However, we're talking about RVers and people with trailers. And so we do want as many of these creature features that we bought those trailers for to work and
Yes.
to not crack and break and leak and things like that.
Okay, so is there a line where I can camp with water in my unit and when I can't? Like if it gets to freezing at night but then comes back up during the day, do I need to winterize before I go camping and just camp without water?
I have my thoughts, but PJ?
I don't know. I mean,
No. Perfect question.
What if it just goes into freezing for a couple hours during the night?
I don't worry about it at all, but some people do.
But
Bzzz.
my mouth stopped
and
working.
I would say it really depends on your trailer, because if everything is exposed under your trailer, it's possible that it can get cold enough to crack a pipe or a little elbow. And, water leaks stop everything from working. So it's possible. But if if it gets down to freezing for an hour and then goes back up again, you're fine. If it's going to be freezing by dinner time, that's something else, because that's cold enough to actually change the water in your system. And of course, there's everything in between. So what I would think is, if you fear that it's going to be cold for longer than an hour or two, you might want to just, if your freshwater tank is not heated and enclosed, then you'll want to just drain it or open it up.
Just make it easier
Yes.
on yourself instead of having to deal with the aftermath.
So what we're trying to avoid is the nature of water to expand when freezing. And if it expands in a pipe, it really doesn't have anywhere to go except for it to bust through, break on through to the other side, if you will.
Oh, goodness. It's like you don't want it
70s
to be on. So how do I camp without water in my unit?
Well, that's just it. If it's inside your unit and it can stay warm, then you're fine. If it's outside the unit, that's where you worry. And I bring water with me pretty often in cold weather or any
If it's
time.
cold weather, you need to have, in my opinion, a 5-gallon
Yes.
tank for drinking water.
I picked one up at Academy
So
just
that
for
you
this.
have that. Yeah. Just 5-gallon with a little spigot on the front. It's inexpensive. It's easy to store. And no matter how cold it gets outside, you'll have water to drink, cook, whatever you need to do. Make coffee, right?
Right.
You do not want me in cold weather, because I'm not good in cold weather. And you do not want me in cold weather without coffee.
So I wonder, PJ, at what point does your body tell you you're in cold weather? Because
Yeah. I'm cold all the time.
Yeah. For me,
I have
it's
the
definitely
old lady
like
cold syndrome.
70 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
sometimes I'm okay if it's 30 degrees outside. If I'm dressed correctly and I'm moving, I'm fine like anybody else.
Yeah.
But I don't do well with moving air, and I don't do well sitting still.
You own a convertible.
I know, but that's different. I know. It's different.
Shout out to Sam for that joke.
Yeah. So
I know.
my thought here is,
So back to campers.
yeah, back to campers. If it's going to be cold for beyond 2 hours, below freezing beyond 2 hours, you might consider go ahead and drain the lines. If you know it's going to stay down for 24 hours or longer than that, you might drain the line and fill those lines up with RV biodegradable antifreeze. Do drain your water heater. Do not fill your water heater with antifreeze. Let me repeat that. Drain your water heater, yes. Do not fill your water with antifreeze. That is
there
unnecessary.
may be, yes, and a lot of every trailer's built different.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I think, winterizing is such a hard thing to talk about because every trailer's different.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have a bypass on the water heater, you just bypass it and winterize the rest of your trailer.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you need to open up it, drain that tank, which you do either way,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to blow it out and be sure you get everything out of it because it really is tough filling. It's not that it hurts the water heater. It's that you need 6 gallons in there and it's
Right.
really tough to get it all out.
Right.
So, at any rate, I think that if you know it's going to be really cold, you're stuck in cold weather, all of a sudden this cold front blows in and it's colder, below freezing, you weren't prepared. The only thing you need to do is drain your water heater and drain your fresh water tank.
Go to those low point drains.
And open the low point drains. If you crawl under your trailer and look around underneath, you will find tubes hanging down.
Yeah.
And they will usually be red and blue, but sometimes they're clear or white.
Right.
And then either there is a pitcock valve right there underneath the trailer, or directly above that, wherever it is, maybe under a step or under a bed, you'll find that valve to turn. And it just drains all the water lines that are
Yes.
behind that.
And you're making a little pool right around your trailer. So when it
Yeah, so
freezes,
you
you
have
can go
ice
ice skating.
skating.
Yes. Yes. Now, one thing to say, that we're talking the normal water heater that you'll find in most U.S. RVs. However, I'm not speaking to on-demand, tankless, those
Yes.
sort of
Yes,
things. So
yes.
that's a whole nother animal.
That's
and I'm
why
not touching that.
it is so tough to discuss winterizing without having a specific trailer in mind and specific gear. And there are people out there who've described that really well. But basically, you want to get all the fresh water out. And I carry the non-toxic antifreeze. It's pink. And you can pour that in like the P-trap of the sink. You can pour that in the P-trap of the like the shower in there. But for the most part, if you get a little bit in the black tank, you pour some in the gray tank, you can still have that water in there. It won't freeze.
Sure.
And just leave your fresh tank empty.
And in a pinch, some people use
And you're good. Vodka.
They use vodka, and you know why? Because it doesn't freeze at the same freezing
Because
point.
it's
It doesn't-
anti-freeze.
Yeah, that's right. And so there you go. So if I were to wrap this little section up, I would say that it's perfectly fine to use in camp in a winterized RV. However, just do things differently and have fun. Carry water differently.
Carry a 5-gallon thing of water to drink, and then carry a couple of gallons of antifreeze. And you can do anything when you're out camping then to keep the water from freezing. And, I just hate to see that stop people from camping.
Right, because there's some amazing things to do.
It's
in
not
those
the
seasons.
water thing, it's the cold thing.
Okay. You mean like they're afraid they're going to get too cold?
Like it's just cold outside.
And by the way, if you have a trailer that has heated and enclosed tanks or heating pads on the tanks, which can be added aftermarket,
Oh, yeah.
then all of this is probably pretty much a moot point.
Well, I'd say exactly right, except for you twist a little bit, you pivot a little bit, and you say, then you have to just mind what's powering the heat. If it's a pad, then just make sure that you know where you're at on your electricity. If it's just forced air from the heat, make sure you know where you are on your propane system.
Sure.
And all that. That's
sure.
important.
Sure. Well, okay. Well, how do I stay warm?
Well, we need to consider a few points here. We like warm air. You don't like air blowing on you. So there's a few things. Let's talk about safety.
Okay.
Okay. The two things that might be issues for safety would be electrocution, which is not that common.
How to die when you're camping, is that the next topic?
In the cold.
In cold weather. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So that when they find you, you are well preserved.
Oh, really? I
And-
cannot believe we are. I would
can.
love to say, can we cut that? But okay. So
You'd be
So-
all like electrocuted and frozen.
Do you want to be electrocuted?
And frozen.
So the other issue is, of course, there's the issue of using propane, and there's a lot of people back and forth on how and when to use propane. And obviously, I use propane heater no problem, but I crack a window because I am terrified of carbon monoxide poisoning.
So let's start with these electric heaters because I see that so often, especially on the Facebook groups, is those electric heaters, they've come a long way and they actually work really, really well, especially with those smaller trailers. A lot of people will just turn them on for, 30 minutes to an hour before they go to bed, and then they'll just turn them off and leave them off for the night.
and are we talking about a ceramic heater?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like the little, some of them are bigger than that, but you just plug them in and then they brrr, and then they brrr, and they get red, and they put heat out of it, and then they stop looking at me like that. But
Brr.
but they're dangerous because they can catch things on fire.
Yeah, so there's the safety thing is mind your distance and what's around, but also there's the old coil heater. It's a little bit more like what you would see in a heat lamp or something like that, going way back, or the heating element that you'd find in something like a hair dryer or something like that. Those things take a fair bit of power, and they can dry out the air that you're in. However, they work pretty well. Again, just know where you're at on your battery system, or if you're on shore power or on a generator. You have to maintain your energy source when heating something.
But those ceramic heaters don't use very much electricity, right? I mean, less than the electric heaters that we're
Yes,
used to.
yeah.
A lot less.
Yeah, and my trailer doesn't have a heater in it, but it does have a heat strip in the air conditioner. That is not the most efficient thing in the world. It is literally a really big hairdryer.
Yeah, but you know what? It got pretty cold because I had the opportunity to camp in your trailer before you did.
That's right.
And and it was snuggly and warm.
Yeah, it did more than take the edge off.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it did. And your camper has canvas tent tip
Yes,
outs.
two full size, almost queen size tip out beds, and they're soft side.
Yes, I was impressed. I did not expect a heat strip in a roof air to do that well, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. So I think ceramic heaters are safe.
Sure.
Propane heaters, what about propane heaters? You're worried about them because
Carbon monoxide.
carbon monoxide is part of a standard furnace that you'll find in an RV.
So if I'm running a furnace, pretty much in an RV, or if I'm using one of those Mr. Heater kind of heat buddies things, I will crack a window or a vent. It's just, if the heater's in use, I crack a window.
Well, that also helps with condensation.
But it's cold outside.
Don't open the window, crack a window.
But then the heat goes out the window.
Not all the heat.
Not all the carbon monoxide either.
Enough.
It is a good idea to
Right.
crack a window. Always a good thing to do. And
Well, I prefer blankets anyways.
Like an
just-
electric blanket.
Sure.
Okay.
I just mean like normal fluffy
Yes.
ones.
And I totally agree.
But if they plug in, or weighted blanket, weighted blankets keep you warm.
I just sleep under my mattress.
Sure. Okay. We're all shaking our heads.
No, because everybody just pictured it. The second he said it, everybody just pictured Clint just laying in the tip out of his Discover underneath the mattress, being like, "Good night, everybody."
Well, I put my kids on top.
Well, back in reality, if you're winter camping, check your LP detectors. Check your carbon monoxide detector and your smoke alarm. You know, they are so much more susceptible. What am I trying to say? They're so much more susceptible to going off because you keep your camper closed up. It doesn't stay fully open all the time. So any type of smell or anything inside can set them off.
Absolutely.
I learned from doing the tech tours that if your LP detector goes off within 10 minutes of you starting and running your furnace, that is completely normal.
Right.
Because the furnace is not running as efficiently as it will past 10 minutes.
That's right.
So as long as it's within the first 10 minutes, you're fine.
Yep.
And then
Just keep an
open
eye
the
out.
windows and let it calm down, and you'll be fine.
And you talked about how sensitive they are. We have heard so many stories of people traveling with their pets, and Fido just lays down on the floor near that detector, and Fido gets a little bit gassy and sets off that alarm. And we've heard it time and time again. Those things are sensitive
They are. They are.
and a little bit offensive.
Yeah, no, your comments are offensive. The propane
It's
detector's
offensive.
just fine.
There you go. Make up terms.
So anyway, check those. Bring extra batteries because you need them. Do not disconnect those in the winter.
Now, I've
Here.
seen more than a couple trailers, especially on our lot, that have little fireplaces, and people always kind of laugh at them. Not
Oh, the-
laugh,
the
but
ones
like,
that are
"Huh, what
installed?
is this?"
Factory installed little
Yeah,
thing? Yeah.
But most of them actually produce heat and also pretty colors.
Yep. And it's electric heat. So it has the ambience. Makes your RV
Right.
a little cabin in the woods.
It feels actually stronger than the heat strip that's in the overhead
Yeah, it
AC.
does to me.
So I would think it would keep a trailer pretty warm.
Right. And another thing
Pretty amazing.
is because that overhead AC is kind of trying to force warm air down using the fan
Right.
system and all that. I mean, hot air is going to want to rise.
Right.
And those little fireplaces are generally down lower. So
They're generally on the
fills-
floor.
Yeah, it fills out the space
Floating
much better.
fireplaces.
And it's
There are some.
quiet and it's a nice feel.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I love it.
It's another idea. Oh, you all the cozies.
I did. I have a little bit of a list of cozies because I actually enjoy cold weather, what we call cold
Get
weather
out.
camping. Texas,
Get out.
cool weather camping. I actually enjoy it because there's a certain feel to it. You get to be all in your sweaties and your hoodies and your stocking caps or whatever people
Okay,
call
what's
them.
your favorite
toboggans.
kind of-
Stocking caps? How old are you?
A toque.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite hat? What do you camp with when you go camping in cold
Well,
weather?
I've never had one of those hats that have the wings on it. I think I need to someday, but I've never had it. It's just a standard stocking cap. Yeah.
Stocking cap.
What do you call them? A toboggan? A toque?
What? I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't tell you what I call them.
Just a beanie hat.
A beanie. Yeah,
a
a
beanie.
Yeah.
That's what I call
That's
it.
that's typically what I'm out there.
Okay.
But I kind of like the gathering around the campfire. You're dressed up like that. You're, enjoying the moment, and you have a blanket or a quilt over your lap. I like it.
And my nose is freezing, and my lips are chapped, and my ears are cold.
I don't know, Lindsay. You have a monkey hat.
And it does have ear flaps. But
Yes.
Well, they make the beanies or whatever. They go full over your face, so you can rob a corner store and then go camping.
then my eyeballs are still cold. Something has to be out there in the cold.
Your eyeballs are cold.
Yes, you've never had cold eyeballs?
Of course I have.
Okay.
But it's never held me back.
Well, that's when you start a fire and you sit around the fire when it's cold. I mean, that's what you do in cold weather camping, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Start a fire.
And just go to Academy, get all the hand warmers, put them in all the pockets in
Ooh,
your
I
shoes.
do love hand warmers.
Oh, man, we
Yeah.
sound so stinking wimpy.
I mean, if you have to. Now, some of this is carryover from being in the deer stand, where you have no insulation and you have
Right.
no campfire.
Well, if you have the right clothes on and you're dressed in layers and you're not wearing like an acrylic sweater,
Yeah.
you're wearing something that will keep you warm, then it might be better.
Yeah, and now there's
Says the woman who is always cold.
Well, I think that you should look in. There's a whole science out there for cold weather layering. You have to have the right base layer. Let's not go into this right now. There's a whole science to layering.
Okay, well, now that we know that we enjoy, I like wearing sweatpants and a big hat and sitting around the fire with a blanket on my. Okay, that
I like
kind of
wearing sweatpants and a big hat.
well, and a warm hat. Okay, I'm looking at our list of things we like, and
It says warm treats.
oh well, I was getting there.
Oh, okay.
Gather all your favorite things that keep you warm in the winter and go camping.
Yeah.
Start a fire, sit around it, eat things that are really bad for you, like s'mores, and I don't know, relax and enjoy the season.
Yeah. It's a good time for hot cocoa. It's a good time for marshmallows or anything. Even if I brought brownies that are made at home and I warm them up near the edge of a fire, great, fantastic.
Yeah. I'm getting a theme here.
Yeah, sugar.
Sugar and chocolate.
That's right. This is a good time to do those kind of packet meals in the fire where you use foil.
Yeah.
I just love those things. I do.
Yes.
It's
And you can
lunchtime somewhere,
decorate
right?
up your campfire, your campsite. You can put lights on it and just, bring a few fun things to decorate with. That would be fun.
Yep.
Have a fire. I mean, there's great things about being out there in the cold weather.
Sure. And I know we think of the cold as kind of cold and desolate and all that, but really the outdoors takes on a whole nother beautiful season and mood. And so few people allow themselves to acclimate to the cold, to really experience it and take it in. This is a good time for photography. If you're into photography, the scenery is still beautiful. It's just different.
Yes, I think it's a great time if you like to be remote. But I think it's also a great time if you, maybe like to not be boondocking during the winter.
Right.
But why not go in and look for towns that have light displays?
Cute small towns.
It is
with an
all
old school-
over Texas. So
Yeah.
if you can't find them where you are, come on down.
Yeah.
Every small town here has a light display
A square.
and some type of big event, sometimes a big maze of lights you walk through. It is the thing here.
Absolutely.
And, during the day, I like to go find coffee shops
Yes.
or bakeries or breweries or museums or,
Yeah.
zoos are open down here
Yeah.
in the winter.
And you know what? They aren't as well attended oftentimes in the colder months. So the
So
animals
visit the
could use-
animals. Yeah.
Aw.
Go say hi. They get lonely. So I don't know. I think there's tons of ways to camp in the winter that are a little bit different. And we should all plan a little weekend adventure.
This is another thing. Even if you're a seasoned RVer, this is a good time if you haven't done much cold weather camping to learn how by camping close. We say that over and over again. When you're starting out with an RV, or even now, if you've done it a lot, if cold weather camping hasn't been your thing, go practice it someplace close by.
Yeah, if something fails or you get worried or your propane runs out and you're freezing, just go home.
Yeah, don't sweat it because it freezes, and then you got a whole nother problem.
No, that's not helpful, Clint. We're supposed to be
Pretty
encouraging.
helpful, actually.
And like I said, just go home.
So there
And
you
then
go.
come back the next day when it warms up.
Yeah. There you go. So I think that's been a pretty fun rundown on how to acclimate yourself to camping in cooler, or dare I say it, colder weather.
Well, I hope it encourages a few people to give it a shot, even if it's nearby, even if it's just for the weekend.
While we are closing this all down, don't forget gpelectric.com. That is Go Power Solar for all of your solar needs. Remember that electricity is your friend, folks. It will help you to keep those tanks warm if you have tank heaters. It will help you to keep that heater going if it's one of those 12-volt ceramic heaters or whatnot. If you want your power to keep going, hot, cold, rain, or shine, GP Electric is the resource. Find out what you need for your camping and your rig and the way you want to camp at gpelectric.com. Go Power Solar is a solution. Just go to them. They make it happen. gpelectric.com.
Now, if you haven't got enough of this crazy rambling from RV Small Talk, then Come on down and join us every Friday at noon. We will be live at RV Small Talk. And just join us. We'll be answering customer questions, and you can find us where, Clint?
So we will be doing that on our various Facebook places. You'll find us on the RV Small Talk Facebook page and in the RV Small Talk community group. But another place that you might not know about is we do have a YouTube channel. It is slowly getting some content, but our Facebook Lives will show up there as well.
Excellent. So we will chat again on Friday at noon.
Fantastic. Until next time, we've had a blast. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.